Hey guys, this is Naudi Aguilar at Functional Patterns, and for today's video tutorial, I'm going to be covering an exercise for the anterior and posterior oblique system via the usage of a barbell. This is one of maybe my most applicable exercises in terms of locking these two systems together, simply because it's going to put us in a position where we're almost going to have to force ourselves to be efficient. So I will remind for anybody out there that maybe is kind of introducing themselves into the more functional aspects of training, like incorporating rotation. I will remind you guys to ensure that you get on your myofascial release and corrective exercise, because otherwise this movement might be a little bit compromising, specifically on the lumbar spine, especially if you're not capable of getting that thoracic rotation. So if you haven't done that yet, I strongly advise that you either address that specific thing or that you do a lot of myofascial release, at least for about half an hour to 40 minutes before attempting a movement like this. There is a high reward that can come with this movement, but if you're not prepared correctly, then there's going to be a liability of risk that could come along with for the ride, and you may not get that much advantage for this. But if you do get this movement down, I assure you, you're going to be developing a lot of efficient mechanics for the athletes that I train, for the trainers that I train, and the clients that I train. When they begin to institute this movement correctly, I begin to notice major trunk rotation happening in their body, and it begins to show in the rest of their biomechanical movement from that point onward. So really what we're going to be doing is going to this barbell over here. I'm going to be grabbing the thing, and then I'm really just going to be walking in place and on these two lines back and forth. So really I'm gonna try and walk you guys through this to make sure that you don't end up going into any unnecessary muscle compensations. For one, what we want to do is focus on trying to maintain as much of a neutral spine here. It's almost gonna look like we're creating somewhat of a flat back. It's maybe not 100%, but it should look pretty close to that as we're here. So you should notice a good thoracic extension. Really try pulling that navel in as we're holding this. What that's gonna prevent us from doing as we're going into the movement of stepping is this excessive anterior pelvic shift that I've talked about before in my prior videos. What that's going to do, if we end up losing that structural integrity of our lower abdomen, it's going to promote a lot of pressure going right here to the lumbar, and we're not going to see much benefit from the specific exercise. So for starters, before we even go into this movement, I need you guys to think about locking in that neutral spine before you start it. So really try focusing on that before anything. Once you get that down, all we're really going to be doing is just taking a step, following from a rotation, and then sending us off into the movement. One heel is going to be coming off the ground, one heel is going to be on the ground, and we're just going to alternate walking forward on each side. What I want you guys to think about when you're grabbing this bar is setting yourself up to let the momentum of the bar kind of institute the movement. You'll begin to feel a pull in the obliques that's eventually going to set you into stepping forward as you're going through the motion. So I'm going to grab the bar. From there I'm going to be kind of going almost like into a bicep curl, maybe about 90 degrees with my arms. I'm going to kind of pull it a little bit back towards my navel, and what I'm going to do from there is actually step forward to set the movement up. I'm going to rotate. You guys will see how I'm kind of rotating that forward, going over there. Once the bar kind of hits that limiting point, I'm going to follow that momentum, and it's going to send me to the other side. What I really want you guys to focus on is this arm right here in this situation is going to pull, and that's what's going to actually initiate the force from one side. The obliques will kind of create the tension to send me to one rotational direction, and then the lats on the opposite side are going to send me to move forward. Once I get to my end point, maybe I'll do about 10 repetitions, I'm going to move backwards from there. Really try keeping that navel in, so that way you get that effective thoracic spine rotation. Whew. It's a really, really tough exercise. Be sure that when you're doing that movement as well, that you're really pulling off your front leg as you're setting yourself up into the next repetition, because that's what that's going to effectively do is load that posterior chain in a functional manner that's going to drive us forward into that next step. So really try using that posterior chain, pull off the front heel to send you into the steps. I'm going to try that one more time for you guys so you guys can see what it looks like in real time. So I'm standing, arms are at about 90. I step, set myself up, rotate the torso, and I focus on pulling with the opposite arm. So right here I'm pulling with my right arm, pulling with my left arm, landing on my front heel, pulling myself with my front leg. I'm going to come backwards. Maybe you got about Another 8 reps, 7 reps left in me. Really try not making these movements rigid. It's almost impossible to make it rigid on you anyway, considering the way this movement is run. That is an extremely neurologically demanding exercise. There's really not probably a single muscle in the body that's not working through that movement. Again, like I always remind, make sure you do your myofascial release, your corrective exercises, your static stretches before instituting something like this. Implement them scientifically. Find out what muscles need to be released, which ones need to be activated to ensure that you're actually warming yourself up for an environment like this. Because if you stretch the wrong muscles, then it's likely you could be promoting more injury later on down the road. Do hope that you guys found this video to be educational. If you did and you liked it, please click like on it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, or you can visit functionalpatterns.com to attain more information on how to bridge the gap between functionality and dysfunctionality, or the other way around, but you get the point. This is Naudi Aguilar reminding you to live intentionally and not habitually. I'll see you guys next time.